Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are continuing our VGC 2021 guide series with Salamence. Salamence actually has a lot to offer in this format. Intimidate is very solid, with a lot of very good physical attacking Pokemon going around. Things like Lando, things like Thundo. We've got all sorts of really strong physical attacking Pokemon in this format, and Intimidate is always a very good thing to have around. And there's a lot of other Intimidate users like Incineroar and Lando, but Salamence is always not a bad idea. Dragonfly typing is pretty cool. It's really good offensively and offers a lot to do with a lot of good damage with Dynamax, but it does offer one quad weakness, which is really unfortunate. Any 4x weakness is always really bad, as just about anything can kill you with a 4x weakness, and being ice is not good because another very big Pokemon in the format, being Lando, has that same 4x weakness, so a lot of Pokemon are just teching ice type moves, so it's bad. It's collateral damage, but that's what happens being a dragon flying type. You do have 3 other weaknesses, which are Rock, Dragon, and Fairy, which are all pretty big in the meta as well, so a lot of stuff to look out for defensively. Using things like Screens and Intimidate is definitely good for this Pokemon, and Assault Vest, but you still got to watch out for these typings, so that's just something to naturally watch out for. As far as the immunities and resistances go, we do have 1 immunity being Ground, since it is a flying type Pokemon, and 5 resistances being Fire, Water, Grass, Fighting, and Bug, which is, pretty good to have. You have this Pokemon that's already a pretty solid Pokemon to switch in with Intimidate, but you also have a bunch of resisted moves. It can be pretty good to switch in, so defensively, not the worst, but definitely, pretty yikes with that 4x ice weakness. Anyway, we do have a couple of good abilities. Of course, we talked about Intimidate already, but we also have Moxie, which is really strong, giving this Pokemon a nice little attack boost every time it takes a knockout on a Pokemon, which is an incredibly good thing to have on a really strong Pokemon. Dynamax Moxie with things like Life Orb or AV can be incredibly powerful, so that's another great way to work Salamence out. We do have 2 builds today, an Intimidate build and a Moxie. Both are going to be offensive, but they do run different items and different spreads, so we'll talk about that here in a moment. Let's look at the stats real quick before we move on to the builds. But for the stats, HP 95, defense at 80, and special defense at 80, leaving a little bit of room for improvement there, but special defense and defense both very average, and HP a little above average, probably about average, so not too bad bulk wise, but you do have that 4x weakness to the ice that you're gonna want to be careful of, and same with the just regular weaknesses. But as far as offense goes, that is where this Pokemon shines. Attack stat at 135 is very, very strong. And special attack at 110 is very solid as well. You can run this Pokemon both, either way, physical or special. And if you're afraid of Intimidate, special is not a bad way to go. You also could use things like White Herb or Lumberry to make your physical attacking better. It's just a couple of options. And then you also have speed at 100, which is very solid. Pretty average, but pretty solid. Being that 100 base speed tier, it's a very, very, calculated speed tier. A lot of Pokemon are going to be at that speed tier. It's very crowded, but you also have a lot of Pokemon over speeding it. It's kind of like the slowest of the fast Pokemon, but still a fast Pokemon. Anyway, that's it for the overview. Let's go ahead and talk about our spread. So I have 2 spreads, like I said, today. We do have the Life Orb, Moxie Life Orb Dynamax build, which is really cool, and we also have an Assault Vest build with Intimidate, a little more calculated. We'll have our synergetic Pokemon and some options, so let's go ahead and start off with the Salamence Life Orb build. So Salamence at Life Orb with Moxie, being able to take a knockout and then going +1 in stages. Of course, you'll want to be careful of those Intimidate Pokemon and Max Wormwind, things like that, but you do have things like Screens really making this really strong. A very solid move pool with dual Wingbeat, Dragon Claw, and Earthquake, and then of course we put Protect on there. You could switch that out with Dragon Dance if you want to, especially if you have a Pokemon like Amoonguss or Indeedee on your team that can follow me, or just redirect in general. That can be really good to take that Dragon Dance turn 1, and then Dynamax turn 2 with a +1/+1, it's not a bad place to be. Dual Wingbeat offers 130 base power, which is the same as Fly, so I wanted to go with Dual Wingbeat instead of Fly, because I don't really like Fly as a move. It's, a 2-turn attack. They can just protect on the attacking turn. It's just not that great, so I went for Dual Wingbeat instead. I think it offers a little bit more on this Pokemon when it's non-Dynamaxed, and it has the same BP when it is Dynamaxed, so why not? And then you have Dragon Claw becoming Max Wormwind, which is incredible. Both those stab moves are great and very good options, and then you have Earthquake Earthquake as well for our one coverage move. Usually, you know, dual stab plus protect is a very solid way to go, and then Earthquake is our move of choice, becoming Max Quake and giving us further improved special defense, which is pretty good. Jolly Nature, just being as fast as possible is really good for the Salamence build. You know, +1 from max airstream or max speed gets us pretty fast and definitely outspeeds most of the competition. You know, those base or those Pokemon that are around that 200 speed tier. Of course, you know, things like Venusaur and in its correct, you know, weather Pokemon, max speed Regieleki can still give you a little bit of, you know, problems with speed, but overall pretty solid. And then and then our spread is just 252 speed, 252 attack, and 4 HP, and of course the Jolly Nature. So it's pretty basic for sure, but it just wants to, you know, Dynamax and kill things. And what's better for that other than speed and attack? Not really anything. So that's what we went for. The second build does have a little bit more, you know, defensive spreads and stuff like that. So let's talk about that. So for the second one, we have Salamence at Assault Vest with Intimidate. This is going to go ahead and help our general bulk and just, you know, damage reduction in general, which is pretty good. This Pokemon's not really going to be doing much against Thundurus anyway, so you don't really have to care about, you know, slapping Intimidate around too much. If you play against Thundurus, just be careful and, you know, play accordingly. You do have Rock Slide on it, which is good against that Pokemon, but you'll definitely not want to Intimidate that thing because it's going to kill you, which is not good. Losing Tailwind was a big hit to Salamence, definitely unfortunate. You know, it used to go Tailwind Roost kind of things with Intimidate, not Assault Vest, but, you know, it would take a little bit more of a supportive role, probably using special attacks. We're just going for damage mostly now, but with, you know, a little bit of defense. So that's where the Assault Vest comes in. It does help, you know, especially with those Fairy and Ice moves like Ice Beam and Dazzling Gleam and stuff like that, and Moonblast, that are pretty in, you know, in our meta with Tapu Finis and you know, Pokemon like that. So Assault Vest does come up, it's pretty good. Intimidate just helps our general bulk. And then, of course, our EV spread does get a little more in depth. 188 speed gets us to 144, which after a max airstream +1 or even a Dragon Dance +1, but this is Assault Vest, so that doesn't matter. But after a +1 from our max airstream, we will be outspeeding Pokemon like Dragapult. We will hit a 216 speed tier, which outspeeds the 214 Dragapult and outspeeds a lot of other Pokemon in that range. So Salamence's speed at 188 is pretty good. You want to go for a max airstream pretty much right off the bat to get it, you know, pretty notable speed tiers. Other than that, it's pretty lackluster speed. But yeah, after that is good. 4 special defense, 4 defense, just so we didn't waste any EVs. 140 attack was enough to take a lot of knockouts or 2-hit KOs, while still putting enough, taking away enough to put into general bulk. 172 into our HP lets us live a couple of special calcs. We'll talk about that a little bit more in damage calc portion, but for now, that's where I'm going to leave it at. Adamant Nature as well, just want to do a lot of damage, so 140 with Adamant Nature felt pretty sufficient as far as damage goes. Dual Wingbeat, once again, is going to give us that max airstream while giving us a pretty solid attack when we're non-Dynamaxed. Dragon Claw as well for stab, Earthquake, and then Rock Slide instead of Protect, since we have to have 4 attacks because of Assault Vest. So Rock Slide works pretty well there as that move, you know. It's very good for, you know, when you're non-Dynamax, and it also offers a, you know, weather transition, which could be pretty useful against like Sun teams or something like that. Anyway, that is it for the two the two builds we have today. Let's go ahead and talk about some options in synergetic Pokemon, and then move on to speed tiers, damage calcs, and single spotlight. So as far as some options go, I did, you know, weakness policy is a pretty cool option. Of course, you don't want to get hit by ice types, you know, because that'll take too much damage to be relevant. But it does have 3 very good, you know, regular weaknesses, which really helps the weakness policy. It gets us there a lot of the time. You know, you have a lot of Lando, a good bit of fairy type moves in the format, so it's not bad having the weakness policy. You know, you can make a cool weakness policy Salamence build. Lumberry is another great option. I'll also lump this in with White Herb, things that are anti-intimidate and anti-physical attacker. You know, you don't want to get burned, and Tapu Fini can't really support that because it's flying type, so Lumberry is definitely a good option. As far as our moves go, of course, you know, like I said, you could use this thing special attackingly. So things like, is that a word? Attackingly? You could use it specially, using things like Draco Meteor, Hurricane, or Air Slash, and Flamethrower. So that's another good option as well. And then if you want to just, still use the physical attacking set, but want to differentiate a little bit, Breaking Swipe is a good option. Lowering attack is always very good. And then we also have Dragon Dance instead of Protect, or Dragon Dance and Protect. So just a couple little, options there. Could be cool. As far as some synergetic Pokemon go, we do have Grimmsnarl and Incineroar as general, bulk Pokemon, giving a little bit more with Intimidate and Parting Shot and Snarl on the Incineroar, but also with Grimmsnarl having Light Clay screens could be really, really big. Also, Trick Lagging Tail is a great form of speed control, or the, the paralyzing with the Prankster Thunderwave. So those are great Pokemon. They're very generic, so, they'll work with most Pokemon like this, but Salamence doesn't like those Ice-type Pokemon, and the, screens can help that out a lot, and so can Intimidate, and so can, just a Flare Blitz punch from the Incineroar, so that's pretty good too. As far as other synergetic Pokemon go, we do have Thundurus here. Thundurus is really good for not getting intimidated, because Salamence, after a couple Intimidates, if it's Dynamax, it doesn't really do that much damage. Of course, it's pretty, maybe they won't want to do it because a lot of the time Salamence can be special, so, Thundurus won't always be that scared, but if you have Thundurus on your team, your opponent's going to probably think, to intimidate the Salamence, but Thundurus will get in the way, so that's good. And then last but not least, we have Kartana. Kartana is a solid Pokemon on the team, it can Dynamax, but it doesn't have to, but really it just wants to hit things with that Steel typing, the Ice type, the Rock type, the Fairy type, all these things that give Salamence a problem. Kartana can hit super effective, which is really, really good, so yeah. Random synergy, but it works pretty well. Anyway, that is about it for the synergetic Pokemon. If I started making a Salamence team right now, I would probably slap a Grimmsnarl and a Thundurus on either of these, on the team with either of these sets, and call it a day. Slap it in there, and then just, something else, maybe like a Torkoal or something, something else that's cool, put it on the team, and it'd be a good time. Anyway, that is going to be it for the guides. Let's talk about speed tiers and then we'll move on. So speed tiers, like I said, it's not too fast. It is pretty fast for slow Pokemon. Base 100 is on the same speed tier as things like Zapdos and Charizard, which are pretty common in the meta game right now. A lot of, fast Pokemon do outspeed it. Things like Garchomp, Nihilego, Kartana, Thundurus, Dragapult, Dracovish. A lot of really good Pokemon, Tapu Koko, Cinderace, a lot of really good Pokemon. But after a max airstream, we will be getting really, really up there in speed. The Salamence up at the very top at 216 after a max airstream is the 144 speed, the Assault Vest one. So, our 167 will be a little bit faster, so that's pretty good. It does naturally outspeed a lot of Pokemon, though, things like Mimikyu, Lando T, Excadrill. Like I said, it is pretty fast, 167, but a lot of right now in our format, we have a lot of 170 plus Pokemon in terms of speed tiers, so it is fast, but it is the slower of the fast Pokemon, and that's, kind of the cruel fate of the base 100 Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon are just going to put in enough speed to outspeed the base 100s because it's such a crowded speed tier. Anyway, that's it for speed tiers. Let's talk some damage calcs. So the first four are, wait, no. Okay, so the first three are going to be our weird spread with AV, and then the last couple are just going to be 252 attack Life Orb stuff. So, yeah. Okay, so first off, we have Lando, Dynamaxed Intimidated, so it's going to be -1, 252 plus attack Life Orb. I just wanted to show as much damage as it can possibly do. Max Rockfall into our 172 HP, 12 defense, Dynamax Salamence. We're not even really worried. 46.6 to 55. It has a 70% chance to 2-hit KO, which is a pretty solid chance to 2-hit KO, but the fact that it barely does, it doesn't do too much damage and we outspeed means we're going to be probably hitting this thing twice before it even hits us, before it knocks us out. So that's pretty good. I just thought that was a pretty relevant calc with the max rockfall, the rock being a pretty big deal. Next, we have once again, the Dynamax Intimidated max rockfall from it into our Reflect, Reflect non-Dynamaxed Salamence is guaranteed to hit KO. So this is a pretty relevant thing. So if you want to just not Dynamax Salamence, you want to save it for Venusaur or something else on your team, then you can, as long as you have Reflect set up. And if you have Reflect set up, then you get an additional turn, and then potentially switch it out and get another Reflect or get another Intimidate. If your opponent like if you start like Grimmsnarl on something else, you set up Reflect, and then you can switch in the Salamence to get another Intimidate or the first Intimidate and still live. So that's just a good thing for, you know, Landorus, which is going to be a pretty potent matchup in this format. Next, we have 252 attack, Life Orb, Dynamax, Dragapult, Max Wormwind, into our 172 HP, 12 defense Dynamax Salamence. It will be hitting 83.8 to 99.4, so we will be living, but barely. Like, it'll do a huge amount of damage. If there's any weather or any kind of other attack from our opponent, it will be taking it out. So that's just a, you know, a not great matchup, but one that we can live with that spread of the Assault Vest build. Just a relevant thing to know. Anyway, next we have -1 from Intimidate. Grimmsnarl, 60 attack was just a random spread to put in, but it will probably have a little bit of attack. Probably just like 4 most of the time, but maybe a little bit more. Into our, even if we have 0 defense on the Salamence, so this is more so for the, you know, the all-in to attack build, but we live that, which is really, really good. And we even have a small chance to get 2-hit KO'd, but yeah, a very small chance. 99 points, a very small chance. Anyway, next we have 252 attack, Life Orb, Salamence Max Airstream into a fairly defensive Venusaur. This was just the first one on Picolytics. I didn't know what, you know, to go by most of the time. It will usually have like around that kind of, you know, spread, unless they're just going all into attack. Or special attack and speed, which is the case sometimes. But what I'm saying is we do a lot of damage to, you know, the Incineroar. We do a lot of damage to Dynamax Venusaur, so that's pretty good. Just like a random calc, I thought was pretty good for Life Orb Salamence. And next we have -1 from our attacking Life Orb Salamence, Max Quake into a 236 HP for defense, which once again is just a random spread, but we're taking a guaranteed 2-hit KO, and even if it has more defense investment, we're taking a guaranteed 2-hit KO. So that's a pretty solid matchup with one of the most used Pokemon in the game right now. Actually, the most used, I think, Incineroar. Yeah, it usually is. Anyway, that's it for our damage calcs. Let's go ahead and talk about Single Spotlight real quick before I end the video. So Single Spotlight is actually not too bad for this Pokemon. I would probably go for a Moxie Dynamax build. Dragon Dance is always really solid on this. Outrage, Dual Wingbeat, and Earthquake are my moves of choice. I went for Heavy Duty Boots, but you could also go for like Choice Band or Life Orb or something if you wanted to. But, you know, Stealth Rocks and stuff is going to absolutely destroy this Pokemon, so I didn't think that was bad. Also, I believe this gets Defog. Does it still get Defog? Let me double check real quick. No, it doesn't get Defog. Wait, Defog isn't even a move anymore. Is it? I'm mixed up on singles. But yeah, Dragon Dance, offensive, is the way I'd go for Single Spotlight. Like I said, you could change into, you know, something else like Choice Band or something, or Life Orb. But if you go Choice Band, you'll have to change Dragon Dance, probably to Rock Slide or something of the sort. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Jolly Nature 252 into attack and speed, and then you know, the leftover 4 into HP, because we're going to be Dynamaxing it. Anyway, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really makes a huge difference. Have a great week. Have a great weekend, and goodbye.